Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Healthy Happy Postpartum Diet webinar. I'm Allison. I am the health coach and blogger behind Frisky Lemon. I've been a holistic health coach for the past 7 years, working with people all over the country and the world. I usually work with people to help heal their digestion and, help them work through food sensitivities. I emphasize a lot of paleo diet concepts. So today's webinar is a little bit different for me, but it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart after giving birth to my son a little over a year and a half ago. So I wanted to talk about this to give you some information about things that have worked for me, things that have worked for clients that I've worked with, because I know that being a mom can be stressful, whether you're a new mom to a brand new baby, a mom to a toddler, a mom to 3 toddlers, or 3 kids. So you have enough on your plate without needing to stress and worry about the food that you're eating and whether the food you're eating is supporting your body and supporting your baby or your children. So I wanted to give you some information to help ease a little bit of that stress, because that's what I'm all about as a health coach, really easing stress, giving you some support, taking one thing off your plate so you can focus on the things that are really important to you. So I'll be giving you 5 tips that I use with my own new mom health coaching clients. They've worked for them, it's worked for them, it's worked for me. So I wanted to give you all this information so that you can create your own personalized healing diet and enjoy a healthy, happy 4th trimester. So I do have a disclaimer that every mom is different and every child is different. So the tips I'm going to give you today are things that you should take and make your own, because I know you go on the internet all day long and it gives you all this information about what you should be doing or what should be happening. And it never works out the way that you think it's going to. So I don't expect you to implement these tips and have like 100% zero stress or for them to work 100% for you, because really it's about taking them and creating something that's going to work best for you. And only you know what works for you, because we're all very different. There's a concept called bioindividuality, and that applies to food in that everybody's life is different. Everybody's body is different. You use nutrients differently than the person next to you. You have a different lifestyle than the person next to you. So you really have to take advice, or from me, from anybody that you see on the internet, and really make it into your own thing. Because I know there's a lot of people out there on the internet telling new moms what they should do, and I don't want to be one of those people. I just want to give you this information so you can take it and make it your own. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay. So welcome to the Healthy Happy Postpartum Diet webinar. We're going to talk about how to eat to support your baby and your new body. So it's really to give you tools to help you heal and thrive in your 4th trimester. So we're going to be talking about a couple of things, talking about how to feel comfortable and confident in your new body without dieting. We're talking about healing foods to emphasize so that you can heal yourself and also support your baby. Tips and tricks for actually getting these healthy foods into your body, which is important as a mom to actually get the food into your body. I know you can have the best intentions, and then something happens, nap time's changed, or there's no nap time and you don't have a chance to get things ready. So talk about one of my favorite tips for getting healthy foods into your body. We'll talk about the importance of having a balance in your primary food, or those non-food areas of your life, and the importance of being kind and forgiving in this process, because nothing ever seems to go as planned. You have good intentions, and nothing ever seems to go as planned. And whether you're expecting your first baby or your 3rd, or you're already the new mom of a newborn or infant or toddler, I'm really hopeful that the information I'm about to share with you will help you find a little sanity and help you feel more in control of and happy with your 4th trimester. So after the call, if you find value in the tips that I've shared, there will be an opportunity for you to take this training a little bit further and get some more personalized support. So make sure to stick around to hear about that. So my story, that's a picture of me and my son, Emmett, and I think he was about maybe 1 month old, a little over a month old in this picture. My son Emmett he's almost 21 months old. And when I was pregnant him, I was all over the internet looking up what you're supposed to do to prepare for birth, including what you're supposed to do with a baby once you get them home. I had these grand ideas of making all of these delicious, healthy paleo meals ahead of time, so that I could freeze them and have them when we got home from the hospital. It's going to make my shepherd's pie, some beef stew, some sausage stuffing, and a ton of bone broth so that I'd have at least 1 week's worth of healthy meals for when we came home and we're newly exhausted. And, you know, when you're having your first baby, you never quite know what to expect. So I just wanted to be prepared food-wise, because I think about food all the time as a health coach. But my plans were foiled when I went into labor at 36 weeks. My water broke at 6 a.m. and we were in the hospital by 7:30, finding out that he was in a breech position and in a bad position, so that I needed a C-section. Emmett was born at 9, healthy and happy, and I was healthy and happy, and everything was good. I actually had Emmett 2 days after my baby shower. So not only did we not have any meals prepared, the car seat was in a box on our front porch. His room was not set up at all. The house was a mess, and we were both kind of in shock just from how quickly everything progressed. But anyway, needless to say, I was totally unprepared emotionally and physically, and I had a lot of help from family in the meal department, but without having a chance to really think about what I might need to prepare for myself, I felt like I wasn't giving myself the best chance to heal and embrace my postpartum body. And that gave me some mom guilt, just because I wanted to make sure that I was eating the right things, and a little bit stressed about not having time to figure out what those right things were, and also not having them prepared at all. So it's taken me a while, but I've finally figured out the foods that make me feel best and have helped me feel more comfortable in my body. It didn't take a year and a half, but it did take a little bit of time. And I think it does for everybody, because this process is just a big experiment. So you have to really figure out what works best for you. And that's why I wanted to give this talk today, to give you some ideas of types of foods and meals to have available to help you feel your best and help you feel comfortable and confident in your new body, and feel confident that the foods you're eating will help nourish your baby, whether you're breastfeeding or not. The food mom eats has a direct impact on baby, whether or not she's breastfeeding. So if you're breastfeeding, the quality of your diet is important. Studies have shown that your milk will have similar nutrient content no matter what your diet is, but those nutrients come from somewhere. So if you're not eating them, they're actually coming from your own personal stores, which after pregnancy and birth can just further deplete you. So if your diet isn't a nutrient-rich diet, your breast milk is still going to have it's going to be nutritious for your baby, but it might be more depleting for you. So it's important to make sure that you're eating a nutrient-rich diet so that you can support your baby and support your own health and healing. If you're not breastfeeding, it's still important to eat a nutrient-rich diet to support your baby. When your body is nourished, your mind is nourished, which means you'll have more patience for those bouts of crying. You'll bounce back from those sleepless nights more quickly. And when the food on your plate or your secondary food is in balance, the non-food areas of your life or your primary food are in better balance too. And having a balance in the non-food areas of your life can definitely change the way you parent. So even if you're not breastfeeding, you're still getting up to feed every 2 to 3 hours. You might have a little bit more work because you're preparing formula and warming up bottles. So you might have less sleep during the night. So it's important to be nourished and eat a nutrient-rich diet so that your energy levels can be where they're supposed to be. Or the best that they can be, so that you have that energy to devote to your child and also to healing your body. So the bottom line is that it's important to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your baby, and taking care of yourself can be stressful when you're a new mom. First, you have zero time. Second, prioritizing self-care and finding that time can give you serious mom guilt. And I'm hopeful that this webinar gives you some tips to help save you some time and help you feel more at ease around eating healthy foods postpartum, kind of help you feel more at ease about your nourishing diet, which is definitely a form of self-care. When you're eating healthy whole foods that make you feel good, then you are taking care of yourself. So let's jump in and talk about some actual tips to help you heal and thrive during your 4th trimester. So if you have a pen and paper, you might want to write these down, but if you don't worry. We'll be going through them one at a time, and we will, I'll be sending out the recording afterwards so you can listen to this whenever you like. So the 5 tips I'm going to talk about today are, number 1, focus on whole foods, aka don't try to diet. Number 2, emphasize healing nutrients, Weston A. Price Foundation style. And I'll tell you what that means if you don't know what that means. 3, the slow cooker is your BFF. 4, find balance in your primary food. And 5, be kind, patient, and forgiving. So tip number 1, focus on whole foods, aka don't try to diet. So that's me and my chubby baby. He was, I think, about 7 months old in this picture. But that's kind of my postpartum body as it was. I left the hospital 15 pounds lighter, but I had gained about 30 pounds, maybe more. I stopped paying attention in my pregnancy. So that last weight stuck around for a really long time, which was really tough to wrap your mind around, because you kind of assume, okay, 9 months in, 9 months out, that's what they say. You know, you'll lose the baby weight in 9 months. It took you 9 months to put it on. It'll take 9 months to take it off. But for me, with breastfeeding and stress, it definitely took longer. And I will tell you a grain of truth right now is that I think I'm back to my pre-baby weight. My body is definitely different, but it's been 21 months. So you do have to get used to your new body. But that should be a positive experience, embracing your new body, rather than a negative experience, kind of feeling uncomfortable in your body. So one thing they don't tell you about having your first baby is that even though the baby is on the outside when you leave the hospital, you'll still look and feel about 20 weeks pregnant. So someone did tell me that, but I didn't know how much I would be affected by it. And the first time I really looked at myself in the mirror, I felt like I was looking at a stranger's body. And it was kind of shocking because, you know, when you're pregnant, you have this growing baby, your body's growing and changing, but it has this purpose. And then once the baby's been born, you feel like there's no purpose anymore. So you just kind of want it to go back to the way it was, but it takes a long time. And that adjustment period can be uncomfortable. One of my biggest fears about being pregnant was how my body would change. And this fear actually kept me from being ready to have a baby for quite a while. I had a lot of fear around how my body would change and feeling out of control of my body. But once I was pregnant, my thoughts totally changed. I was excited. I loved feeding my pregnant body and nourishing the little one inside me. And I kind of lost all that fear around how my body would change and started looking at pregnancy as a crazy, interesting experiment to see just, you know, how big my belly would get, what kinds of things would happen to me. And then after Emmett was born, my body was totally different from anything it had ever been before. And it was like all of a sudden I had this weird body. It felt like it came out of nowhere, and I was actually startled by it. The urge to diet was very strong, especially in the beginning. I wanted to feel normal as quickly as possible. You know, you expect that once you have a baby, you'll be able to get home and put on those jeans and button them up, but that definitely was not the case with me. I know some people have a different experience, but I could not put on my regular jeans for probably 4 months. So you just want to feel back to normal and comfortable in your body. But dieting and restrictive dieting is definitely not the answer, because diets breed feelings of restriction and deprivation, and those negative feelings will make you feel horrible and less likely to make healthy food choices for yourself. And you could get stuck in that diet guilt cycle where you diet and then you're feeling so restricted that you rebel against that restriction and you might binge, and then you feel that guilt and you get sucked back into that cycle. And that's literally the last thing you need when you're already stressed out about taking care of your new baby and also seriously sleep deprived. So I really advise or recommend that you try to ignore the allure of the crash diet and try and unfollow all those people that give you tips to get back to your pre-baby body as soon as possible. Because you just gave birth and you need to heal and nurture your body, not torture it. So instead, focus on healing, focus on listening to your body and choosing mostly whole foods, emphasizing nutrient-dense foods like fruits, vegetables, proteins, and lots of healthy fats, to give yourself the best chance at recovery. So instead of focusing on dieting or restricting, focus on healing and recovery. And that might mean, avoiding all kinds of restrictive dietings, even things like the Whole30, especially if you've never done a Whole30 before and you're a brand new mom, having to have all the preparation you need for that diet, which is an amazing way to reset your body and feel really healthy. It just can add a lot of stress at this time. So I wouldn't recommend it right after giving birth unless you're super prepared. So yeah, focus on healing, focus on recovery, and focus on embracing your new body and thinking about the purpose it's serving now. Because even though you're not growing a baby on the inside, if you're breastfeeding, you're still growing a baby on the outside. So your body is still working hard to produce breast milk so that you can nourish your baby. And if you're not breastfeeding, you're still having to nourish your baby with your body by being in the best, having the best energy levels you can, being in the best mood that you can to cope with the stress of having a new baby. So tip number 2 is to emphasize healing nutrients. So Heal Yourself, Weston A. Price Foundation style. So Weston A. Price was actually a dentist who did a lot of studies on traditional cultures and their fertility foods. So he found a common thread between a lot of these fertility foods in that they were high-fat, nutrient-dense foods. So Healing Yourself, Weston A. Price Foundation style is kind of like healing yourself with these high-fat, nutrient-dense foods. And I'm going to tell you what those are in just a minute. So you do get a lot of healing nutrients from fruits and vegetables, and eating a wide variety of different colored vegetables is always a good idea to make sure you're covering your nutritional bases, because every different color vegetable has a different nutrient profile. But as far as healing your body and supporting lactation and high quality breast milk, fat is really where it's at. So all those good healthy fats. Healthy fats are an important fuel source for mom. They're actually your body's preferred source of fuel. Your body runs better when it's running on fats for fuel rather than sugars for fuel. And I always give this kind of analogy. If you think about your metabolism as a fire, when you're running on fat for fuel, it's like putting a big log on the fire. It's going to burn for a really long time. You're going to feel sustained and satisfied for a longer period of time. Whereas if you're running on carbohydrates or sugars for fuel, it's like throwing kindling on the fire, where it's just going to burn up as soon as you put it on there. So that running on fat is your body's preferred source of fuel. Fats also help you feel more satisfied. They really turn on the satisfaction factor of your meals. And help the meal stick around in your system a little bit longer. And all of the fat-soluble vitamins in the healthy fats help you absorb the important water-soluble vitamins from the fruits and vegetables that you're eating. Healthy fats are also really important to baby's nervous system and brain development. So if you are breastfeeding, making sure that you're getting a lot of those healthy fats can be good for baby's brain and nervous system. So where can you get all these good fats? One of my favorite sources and one of the easiest ways to get some really good fats is with eggs and egg yolks. So egg yolks are really high in choline, fat-soluble vitamins, and all of these things are good for baby's brain development and for healing your own body. They also have some good cholesterol in them, which is going to help heal your body. So the Weston A. Price Foundation recommends 2 eggs and additional yolks per day. So they don't do egg whites. It's more about the egg yolks. That when you separate the egg, they want you to eat the yolk and leave the white. But eggs are a really easy way to get some good nutrition into your system, especially when you're busy. Eggs cook really quickly. You can cook them ahead of time, like hard-boiled eggs or eggs baked in ham cups, which is was one of my staple recipes once I was able to get into cooking again, or egg muffins. The eggs are just a really easy way to get some really good nutrition into your body. Butter is another really great way to get good fats into your body. It's got some good fatty acids, and it's actually some of the fatty acids in butter are good food for your gut flora. So they help support healthy digestion, and it's high in vitamin A, which is one of those fat-soluble vitamins that's important for brain health. If you're doing butter, I would definitely recommend trying to get butter made from the milk of grass-fed cows, because it's usually more nutrient dense. You can actually see a difference in the butter, the color of the butter. When it's from grass-fed cows, it's going to be really nice and yellow most of the time. And if it's not from grass-fed cows, from grain-fed cows, it's going to be a little bit more white. The grass-fed butter does vary in color depending on the season, because the grass the cow is eating is different. So I think it's like in June when the cows are eating clover, the butter is going to be this really deep yellow, but at other times when they're eating different kinds of grass, it's a little bit of a lighter yellow. But trying to get the butter from grass-fed cows is going to give you a big array of good fat-soluble vitamins, and all those other good fatty acids. And that's another easy way to get some food into your system, some nutrients into your system with butter. You know, cook your eggs in butter, add butter to your sweet potatoes. Don't be afraid of the butter. I was definitely not afraid of butter. I love the taste of butter, and I usually, like when I cut a little bit of my Kerrygold butter off to put it in the pan for my eggs, sometimes I'll just bite the end of it off. And I think that kind of passed down through my system, because now Emmett loves butter. He sees it and he says, butter, butter, and he wants me to cut off a little pad for him to eat. And I let him do it because it's got all those good fatty acids in it that he needs for his brain health. Another really good source of those fatty acids is seafood. So seafood is like an oily fish, like salmon, is really high in omega-3 fatty acids. And usually a whole food source of omega-3 fatty acids is going to be easier to absorb and better for development than a supplement. So when you're looking for seafood, look for wild seafood or responsibly farmed seafood, and try to go for smaller fish over larger fish if you're having it all the time. Smaller fish tend to have a lower mercury content. Larger fish that eat smaller fish have a higher mercury concentration. The last superfood is not a fat, but it is considered nature's multivitamin by Weston A. Price, and it's liver. So the Weston A. Price Foundation recommendation is 3 to 4 ounces once or twice a week of liver, because it is very high in all kinds of good nutrients that you don't get if you're only eating muscle meats. It's got B12 for mom's brain health, and it's great for, you know, just vitamin A, all kinds of good stuff. And if you can't eat liver, which, you know, I sometimes make chicken liver pate, which is a good way to get some butter into your system too, because I make it with butter. But I can't always make that because that's not realistic for my life. So I actually take the Vital Proteins liver pills. It's just desiccated liver. So I take those every day, and I think it amounts to probably 3 or 4 ounces a week. And that's just what's been easy for me. A few other superfoods to include in your healing diet would be fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented pickles, because these are really great for supporting your gut flora, which support your digestion. And when your digestion is running smoothly, the rest of your body is ideally running smoothly, because your like how the rest of your body is functioning can be linked back to your gut, because so much of your immune system is in and around your digestive tract. Bone broth is another great healing food. Actually, in Asia, it's customary to give bone broth to new moms because of all the collagen. It helps with recovery. And that's recovery from anything. If you're recovering from any kind of surgery, recovering from birth, or, you know, just recovering from the stresses of life, having some bone broth is a great idea. And you can make it yourself, or there are a ton of reputable companies that sell it pre-made, so you don't have to stress out about making your bone broth every week or month. One thing I would recommend that you try to be mindful of is sugar, because sugar obviously has an effect on your blood sugar, which can add to inflammation, and the sugar you're eating can also affect your adrenals. And I know from my experience, when I first had Emmett, I would wake up in the morning and go to my chocolate cabinet first thing. I'd be like making my coffee and opening the chocolate cabinet to grab some chocolate first thing in the morning. And that was my first cue that I probably had some adrenal fatigue and that eating the sugar wasn't the best thing for me. So treat yourself to sweets consciously and deliberately, It's important to find a good balance. You don't want to avoid them and feel restricted, but also you want to make sure that you have a good balance so that you're still able to nourish and heal your body without being on that blood sugar roller coaster or stressing your adrenals. Okay. So my next tip is the slow cooker is your BFF. So the first few weeks home were pretty easy for me, except for that I might die from sleep deprivation thing. I literally thought I had no idea that you could be so tired and be alive. But seriously, baby is usually sleeping, getting up every 2 to 3 hours to eat and then going back to sleep. So I had a lot of time because he was a pretty good sleeper early on. And of course I was a dummy and didn't sleep when baby slept, like everybody tells you to do, because I felt like I had too many things to do and that I'd never get anything done if I was always sleeping. And I used that time to cook and bake and watch Downton Abbey instead of taking naps. I had a lot of help from family who cooked some meals for us to make up for the meals I didn't make before Emmett was born. But overall, I felt like I had time during the day. But once baby was awake more often, all of that went away. Of course, all kids are different, but my son needed to be held pretty much all day. I loved wearing him in a carrier, but I still couldn't do a lot of things like bend over a stove or reach into the oven. So the slow cooker became my best friend. So if you don't know what a slow cooker is, it's just like it's a crock pot. You throw the ingredients in, set the timer, or just turn it on high or low, and they cook for you. You don't have to do anything. So I would throw in my ingredients in the morning and let it cook all day so that I had this huge amount of food in the evenings. And that's one of the big benefits of having a slow cooker is that you make a huge amount of food that you can stretch out over a few days. So we did this sometimes 3 times a week, but usually just 2 times a week. And the meals would stretch out for a few days of lunches and dinners so that we felt we had all our bases covered. So when it comes to meal planning for yourself, make sure to plan some meals in the slow cooker. So if that means thinking about meals that you want to make ahead of time and freeze, cook them in the slow cooker, or food that you want to have in the house for when you get home. You could have a relative do some grocery shopping for you while you're at the hospital so that you have those foods that you can put in the slow cooker for yourself, or just have a relative do some grocery shopping for you anytime and bring over the groceries and you'll just throw them in the slow cooker. If you don't have a slow cooker, put one on your baby registry. Seriously, I've never seen someone do that, but I would totally get it for you if I was coming to your baby shower. My favorite recipes in the early days were things like beef stew. There's a blog called Savory Lotus, and she has a Moroccan chicken with sweet potatoes that's absolutely delicious. And Nom Nom Paleo's whole chicken. Don't worry, I'm gonna send these recipes to you in an email after the webinar so that you have them. So you don't have to look those up. But my baby was born in February, so warm meals were a must. But there are plenty of summer slow cooker meals like pulled pork. That's the only one I can think of right now. But if you do a Google search, you'll find a ton of summer recipes, so you don't have to be eating beef stew in July. Other food staples for me were baked eggs in ham cups. Like I mentioned, there are easy ways to get eggs into your system. Basically, you take a muffin tin and line it with ham slices, and I use like Applegate organic ham. Actually, I don't think it's always organic, but it's always nitrate and nitrite free. And I just crack an egg into each cup and bake that, and then I have 12 eggs in ham cups ready to go. And I usually eat like 2 for breakfast in the morning, and sometimes I have them for lunch too. So you have a bunch of food ready. And the other one is shepherd's pie. So really any recipe that makes a lot of food with not that much prepping is going to be your best friend. And the slow cooker is a really great way to do that. You could just throw the ingredients in when baby's sleeping in the morning and then set the timer if you have one with a timer, or just remember to turn it on at a certain time so that it's done for later in the day. Yeah, I would say that anytime the slow cooker can be your BFF, whether you have a baby or not, because it just takes so much time. It gives you so much time back that you don't have to spend prepping a huge dinner. So find balance in your primary food is my 4th tip. So really the importance of self-care. So it's important to take care of yourself. Making healthy food choices is definitely one method of self-care, but it's also important to address the non-food areas of your life, like your social life, your physical activity, your career, your spirituality, for example. the balance of your primary food affects your food choices or your secondary food. And when you're feeling balanced in your life, you're more likely to make these self-serving food choices. The example I usually give of this is with career. So if you're spending all day at a job that you really don't like, and you're just counting down the seconds until you get to leave, you're probably going to be drained and exhausted when you get home, and less likely to make healthy food choices if you don't have them already prepared. You might order pizza or order food, take something out of the freezer, like a TV dinner. But if you had that energy and you felt really good and fulfilled by your job, you'd have that positive motivation to maybe make something a little bit healthier for yourself. So it's important to get back to doing something that you used to do before baby was born, because that is a great way of finding balance in your primary food. So think about one thing that you did pre-baby and think about how you could be able to fit that into your life. Now, recognizing that it will look different than it looked before baby, but having this balance can help you feel better about your food choices and help you feel like a happier person, maybe just a real person. And that definitely helps you be a better mom. So for me, that one thing was exercising. And before I had Emmett, I was lifting. I did a lot of Olympic lifting and CrossFit probably 5 days a week. And I would work out for probably 90 minutes a day. So that's a lot. I was in very good shape before I had Emmett, or before I found out I was pregnant with him. And after Emmett, I try to get into the garage where I work out at least twice a week. And I do very different things. I'm still moving my body, but now it's not for 90 minutes. It's probably for 30 minutes because that's what I can squeeze in. But I know that when I get out there and I do anything, I feel better because I've taken that time for myself and I've taken that time to do something that makes me feel good, something that I really loved to do before he was born. And it helps me feel more connected to myself, which helps me feel more connected to him. And I can tell on the days when I have a workout planned and I don't get out there to do it, my temper is shorter. I definitely have less patience, and I don't enjoy the moment as much. So getting out there and doing one thing that you used to do before baby is going to be really important, and kind of thinking about that now so you can make a plan for it and how it will look, whether it's, going out with a girlfriend every other week for dinner, or, having a date night with your husband or your partner once a week, or like once a month, which is, we're probably at once every 2 months. I'd like it to be more, but sometimes having, like, if your social life is really important to you, making sure that you're going to see people. If your physical activity is really important to you, making sure that you're getting outside and walking and moving your body. If your spirituality is important to you, making sure you can get to if you go to church, making sure you can get to church and focus on it the way that you did before you had baby, whether that means having someone watch him or, bringing him and watching from the other room, just something that's going to make you feel more like yourself. Because having this balance will help you feel better about your path as a parent, and also help you feel better about your food choices and make you more likely to make those healthy food choices. So the last step tip is to be patient, kind, and forgiving. And this is my broken record step, because I give this step at the end of every webinar, because it's so important in life to be kind and patient with yourself, because there are no mistakes in this process. Everybody has different children. Everyone's a different person. They have different partners. So everyone's journey looks different. So it's impossible to predict what it will look like for you, and when you will reach, not when you will reach the end of your journey, but when you will figure out what's truly going to work for you. So it's all about a big experiment. And in that experiment, there's no mistakes, only learning experiences. So anything you previously thought of as a mistake, you can take a step back and think about, okay, well, what would I have done differently, or what caused me to do this that I could try and fix the next time? In my health coaching practice, I always tell my clients that the hard times are the most important times. They're the times that I want to hear about. I don't want you to be embarrassed and not not email me or not tell me, because when I know about those hard times, I can help you turn them into positive experiences and help you bring the positive out of them and apply them to your life in a way that's going to be constructive. So yeah, it's important to make sure that you're coming at this from a positive point of view, knowing that it is an experiment. You've never done this before. Even if this is your second child, you've never had a second child before, this is going to be a new experience for you. Your body's going to be different. Your tastes are going to be different. Your stress level is going to be different. Your life is going to be drastically different. So just taking everything with a grain of salt and looking at this as a big experiment, and you're an observer trying to figure out what's going to work best for you. So I've just given you my 5 tried and true tips for creating a healthy, happy postpartum diet. But I know everyone is different, like I said, and I can't possibly give you all the support that you need to feel completely comfortable with this process in just 35 minutes. So I'm excited to offer everyone listening to this call and the replay a chance to sign up for a free 45-minute new mom nutrition session. And this is 15 minutes longer than my usual free session that I offer, so we'll get to dive into a little bit more info. I don't regularly offer this kind of session, so it's kind of a special thing, especially the new mom nutrition, because usually my sessions are focused on gut healing. We will talk about some gut healing in the new mom nutrition session, because I do believe that a healthy gut is the basis of a healthy life. But we'll talk about where you are, where you want to be in terms of your health goals. And when you leave, you'll know exactly what to do to start balancing your diet and the non-food areas of your life, and we'll get you on a personalized path to a healthy 4th trimester. So this is the private phone session, and it'll help you get clear on what path to take to have your best health as a new mom. So if you're interested in that, I'll be sending out an email once the webinar is over with a link that you can sign up. And yeah, sending out a link, and I'll also send out the replay and those recipes that I mentioned. Let's see. So I want to thank you all for being here today and joining me. I'm glad that I hope that you found some of this information useful. If you have any questions, you can always email me at allison@friskylemon.com, or just respond to the email that I'm going to send to you in a couple minutes. And if you need anything, let me know. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.